All right, beginning of the new year, first ones up. First suckers or victims are Tara and Justin Williams. So we got them visiting in the hall class today because they're only here for a little bit of time. So Tara, I'm going to ask you first. Tell everybody where you've been and what you guys have been up to for the last 9 months. Well, not 9 months, 3 or 4 months at this point.
Yeah, it's been about 4 months.
Yeah.
Well, it was actually, we were sitting during the April General Conference, listening. And this is something Jess and I dreamt about for 20 years. We always wanted to go travel with our kids. And I'm sitting there cleaning out a closet in my house thinking, what's the point? This closet is huge. And there's so much junk I buy. What am I buying this for? Let's do something crazy. Like, the kids are going to graduate, our oldest is at least. Why don't we just sell everything and go travel? And we thought about it, and we pulled out this map in the break of conference that we had showing the whole world. And so we're trying to sell the kids on it, and we're like, we could go here and here and here, but they'd have to leave their friends, and they'd have to let go of a bunch of stuff and sell their house and travel, and we talked them into it. And so basically, we've been traveling. We've stayed in 35 Airbnbs. And we, so far...
Wait, I need to do some math there. So
35.
How many weeks was that? So is that like 2 Airbnbs a week or something?
Yeah, like the average is around like every 4 or 5 days we would move to a new house and get butter and salt and pepper. And what food do they even have? Is the store even open? What language are they speaking? And it's been an adventure, so...
So Justin, where have you been so far? What countries?
We started out in Hawaii, Big Island, then Oahu. Then we went to Bali. Then we went to Australia, New Zealand, and finished in French Polynesia.
Yeah. French Polynesia, we hit up, I think, 5 or 6 islands, so you fly to them on these little flights, and so we were moving around there, too.
Yeah.
And then you're here for a couple weeks, and where are you guys going next?
Next, we're going to go to the Florida Keys. We realized you can only stay 3 months in Europe.
Oh, that's
so
true.
So we were like, let's go somewhere warm so we can get a little warmer in Europe. So we're going to Florida, Puerto Rico, and then we'll do Spain, Italy, France, Switzerland, England. Anywhere else, did I miss? That's it. Yeah.
You said Italy.
Yep.
Your stomping grounds.
You know, I can imagine all of us would dream of loving to do this. You're doing it with kids that still have school. So from a practical standpoint, like if you were to give somebody advice, somebody was thinking about this, what have you learned about how to do school with the kids? And then also, what have your kids gotten out of this experience so far, do you think?
Well, I will say for you, I know you have a lot of wise words to say, but a lot of people think we're on this like extended vacation and, oh, you guys are so lucky, living the dream, oh my gosh. And yes, we are, but I think it's kind of for a different reason than a lot of people think. When you go on a trip for 9 months, it's not the same as going on a 10-day vacation. Like you said, like our kids are going to school, we're working. We went from a pretty big house to very smaller locations. Like Tara said, we've been in 35 different Airbnbs. There are times where we are like, just on edge. And in a way it's been hard, but then it challenges you because you can't, like typically in home, if it's like someone's like annoyed, just go in the other room or go to the gym. And so we've been forced to really like develop in a lot of ways and grow closer. There have been threats of like, I'm out of here, I'm going home early, or you can come with me or not. Like, all kinds of things, but ultimately like it has made us stronger, but it has not necessarily just been this like just trip. And the first week it was like every day eating like desserts and treating and like going everywhere. And after all, we're like, oh my gosh, we're going to gain like 50 pounds and I'll get diabetes. And so you have to adapt and adjust. And it's been a huge growing experience, I think more so than we even thought.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I actually, when I was 33, I got really sick. And so then traveling all of a sudden became this thing that caused a lot of anxiety. And so Justin and I had some trips planned around that time, and we went, and I got really just emotionally not well. I was having panic attacks. And so ever since then, traveling's always kind of been this thing that I would do, but I was really uncomfortable. And so for me, this traveling was like, it's time to set Tara free. Like, I want to move about the world, and I don't want to be afraid of it. I don't want to, every time someone says, you want to go here, and I'm like, ugh. So I didn't even know if I could do the trip. But it was kind of like, I was the one really pushing it, and I was like, I might lose my mind. I might be like, what am I doing here? And I'm free to go about the country now. I am now excited without the anxiety for the next thing. So the travel was like, there were multiple reasons. We felt like our kids needed a bit of a wake-up call as far as they just needed to reset some things. it's hard to be a high schooler, and they get involved in people and groups and these things that they think they really need, and sometimes you have to pull them out and, you know, expose them to the world and some change and you don't have to travel the world to do that, but it's been really good for them. I feel like they've come alive in a lot of ways. It's exposed some of their weaknesses. When you pull them out of that zone a bit, they kind of think they've shifted things with what they want to do and some of their friends, and they've realized there's a lot more out in the world.
Yeah, Berlin keeps talking about how much she's learned about herself, and she's typically very friend dependent, and so being together, it's forced us to rely on each other more, but also like herself, and I think her testimony, and been really cool.
I mean, we've experienced so many things together, like in Bali having snakes fall from the ceiling, or
For real?
yeah. And one of the kids are working on their homework, or Casey waking up one night and there's like a cockroach on his head. We're in French Polynesia, and I wake up and I'm like, Justin, I think someone's breaking into our house, because everything's just open in some of these places. It's indoor, outdoor, like no AC sometimes, and so we go out there because we just keep hearing all these noises, and we realize it's our kids sleeping on these hard wooden chairs because there's a cockroach in their bed. And
they put all the table chairs together, and we're trying to sleep on them.
Totally.
Like, what are you doing?
But what's kind of cool is they came up with a plan and did that together.
Yes.
Exactly. So they're making all these memories, some of them not good. And we would say this thing on the trip where it was like, this is painful right now, but it will be funny, you know, moving forward as we talk about it and laugh about it. And so we had painful memories that were like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. And good memories where we're like, that was epic, that was so fun. And other memories where we're just like tired and ornery. But you spend so much time together. So I feel like we're tighter. I love being in a smaller house because I can feel, you know, more like, what are my kids doing? What are they up to? There's a lot that kids have these days that they can, you know, get into. And it's like, I see you, I know you, you can't hide in your room so much. Like, we're together all the time. So
kind of reminds me of when people talk about going on a mission, how it's like the hardest thing and the best thing ever. It's like, so it was not easy, but it hasn't been easy, but it's been amazing. So I think when we all showed up back to San Diego at first, we're like, do we want to keep doing this? Because you also appreciate what you have. I mean, central AC and heating, like
Wi-Fi working.
Amazing. Nowhere else that we've been have they had central AC.
Really?
We're lucky if they even have the little box. Like, if they have that and we show up, we're like, we like start partying. You know?
So are you looking for those when you're making Airbnb reservations?
Now,
I have learned.
Our second round.
Always check the AC, always check Wi-Fi. We need 2 bathrooms. Sometimes we show up and there's a family of 5 with 1 bathroom, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be good. So now I have like these.
We're staying in half the amount of Airbnbs.
Yeah,
a week at each spot rather than 3 to 4 days.
Yeah.
So we're learning.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I asked you before we were on favorite areas that you've been to so far. And I know everybody in the family has different opinions.
Yeah.
Tara and I think thought it was going to be Bali. I'd say everyone thought it would be Bali. And surprisingly, that was probably our least favorite. Not that we didn't like it, but our least favorite. And I think our favorite was New Zealand and Australia.
Yep.
Brogan because he loves birds, and there's insane, amazing birds. I mean, is it cockatoos, the big white birds?
Yeah.
We just come up to like our patios, and I mean,
go on his arm and
the kids may have had almonds, you know. So it's like they have these pet birds that just flew around, and but so many cool birds. And then New Zealand, the kids love that because it's the extreme sport adventure capital of the world, and
it's
where
gorgeous.
bungee jumping was created, and the world's biggest bungee. So we jumped off 350-foot cliffs, and
did you all do that?
Everyone except for me.
She does not like.
I don't think I would do that.
Really?
Like
I think you would.
Like if somebody pushes me, I will. Like
I bet you do it.
If somebody guilts me, I might.
I bet you would.
By choice, I wouldn't do that.
If you saw Brogan and Brillen flip off it 8 times, like however many times.
I realized my kids are extreme adventure kids, and my husband, and I was like,
they did it twice. Because for a discount, you could do it a second time. And they're like, heck yeah. I'm like, no, I was good with one. I was actually it was more scarier than I thought it would be. Because I was like, oh yeah, I'll go any roller coaster or anything. And I'm like, what the heck are we doing?
We have some good video too, if you ever want to see some.
Yeah, I'd get to the edge. You tell me it's like this. I'd get to the edge and I would freeze, and then I would overthink, and then I'd maybe.
And then they would pull the cord, and you would go flying down.
Okay, so that's the way to do it. As long as somebody's like pushing me off, I'd be okay.
Yep.
And then what's funny is later, like I didn't want to go right away after, But then later on, we jumped from this really high thing, which is supposedly like scarier than bungee jumping, and I wasn't that phased. And now I will absolutely go, like next time we go, I'll do the world's biggest bungee jump because, I don't know, I'm like, it's kind of cool. Like even at like 42, I'm like, still overcoming fears. Yeah, let's go, you know?
Aren't you 43?
43? Am I 43? Yeah, I am 43.
Whoa. I'm learning a lot about this relationship.
Darn.
Right out of the bat.
Well, she's like, wait, I'm 43.
I'm 43, so...
All right, so let's now here's we need to rewind a little bit. So introduce us to your family. So you guys moved into the ward didn't we absconded you as part of the Livenhain acquisition,
Yep.
right? Which we love and we're grateful for. So we got Tara and Justin, but tell us about the kids, what their names are and what they're into, how old they are.
We have Brogan, who's 18, and he's actually not going to go with us on this next day.
Yeah, this is a whole nother little...
Because it's time to, learn some adult skills, and he wants to actually stay home and live in Utah with my parents for a few months and get a job. And just kind of settle a bit, prepare for his mission, because he's going to be moving around for 2 years.
We do. So. I know this is for history. I know 10 years from now, 20 years from now, he's going to look back and be like, I can't believe I missed an epic trip of a lifetime to go work at In-N-Out.
But you
Brogan,
do
if you're listening to this, I vote you ought to rethink this.
That's what we said, but we were like, hey, he's an adult, go for it. And so we supported it, but
we're excited for him to grow in his own way and have his own adventure. It's been awesome, and anyway.
Yeah.
What else is he into? Like I know dragon fruit, birds. What?
Freestyle trampolining. So he's really missed that.
Yeah.
He's loved the trip, but he's kind of like, it's kind of interesting. Like traveling is something we've wanted to do our entire life, and then when you do a ton of it, it's just like anything else in life. You're like, that was amazing, but it didn't like change everything for you, right?
They've had a lot of travel experience.
Yeah.
So he's not lacking.
He doesn't have that. Like as we were kids, we like want to do it so bad because we didn't do it a lot. And so for them, they've traveled a lot, and he's traveled a lot. He's like, I'm kind of good with maybe not traveling. He's an adult, so we're like.
So he wants to get a job, and he's had one job, and I think he's going to get there, and we're going to be like, yeah, we were just in London eating chocolate-covered strawberries. How was Chick-fil-A?
Totally.
And he's going to be like, well...
Well, the nice thing is he can change his mind and join you and meet up with you if you need to.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But let's say a week ago from right now, today, in the morning, we may have had like a pretty like intense discussion in the morning. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? I was but then we were supposed to meet with Bishop for him to get ready for his mission and all this stuff. And I'm like, but in between that time, I took him out during sacrament. I think you gave a recommendation for a song, and right after your song, we went out. And I just talked to him like, you know what, this is your life. Like, I'm gonna get like emotional here. Like, This isn't about you living our dream. You're 18 years old. We want you to have this experience. If that's what you want to do, you go do that. So anyway, he might work at a trampoline park, but it's cool because he's realizing like, oh shoot, they're gonna pay me $10 an hour. And my parents were paying me $20 an hour to kind of do some stuff.
To kind of be helpful in the business.
So it's cool. It's like so amazing because you want your kids to grow up so much and you are constantly preaching and then for them to be able to go out on their own. So whether he does it now or later, it's like the coolest thing to see your kids like growing up and do some amazing things, but then go and like figure out life on their own. So.
Yeah.
And you can't knock him too much. He wants to stay and prepare for a mission.
Totally.
Exactly.
It's a great choice, Brogan.
No, he's awesome.
That's why we're like, okay.
Our kids are the best.
They are. He's
all right, how about Britlin?
Britlin is 15. She'll be 16 in April. And she's amazing. She's super social. She can talk to anybody. She can make friends anywhere. Awesome. She's really fun and crazy adventurous. Like, she's hopping off these 350-foot canyon swings, and the first thing she does is go on her hands and do a handstand and flip off. She's not even just like standing there. And it's just like, that was great, let's do it again. Yeah. She's crazy.
Oh man. We would have spent basically all the money we had on adventure things with her. If she would have gone skydiving while we were there, she would have done the world's biggest bungee jump. She works it too. She has some of her dad's skills, bet more than me, I would say.
Talking you into things.
Of just trying to get us to like take her like bungee jumping again. I'm like, okay, brilliant. We're good. Like.
Yeah. So she's really fun to travel with. Although I will not ride on her jet ski.
She's a wild one. In Australia, we were going to the Whit Sundays, right?
Whit Sundays.
And I went on the back of her jet ski, and she whipped me off pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
And I was concerned because they're like, don't get off around this area because it's a little sharky. So I'm like, I got whipped off and I just like started swimming as fast as I've ever swam in my life.
Good job, Ritlin. Proud of you. All right, and then the youngest is...
Then there's Kason. He's 13. He'll be 14 in March. And he's awesome. When you first get to know him, he's a little shy, but he's very charming. He's very intelligent, but he also likes to do things his way.
Yes.
So if he doesn't want to do it, you can't talk him into it. But he's extremely charming, and he's very deep, but he doesn't let everybody see that side of him. It takes him a minute to let you see that. But he's really funny. He loves to cook. He loves
Insane
people.
chef.
Loves kids.
Loves pickleball.
Loves traveling.
The whole
loves
trip,
pickleball.
he's like, I can't wait to get home and play pickleball. And Brylin loves pickleball too.
He may have lost his phone multiple times on the trip.
We didn't take it away. He left it. That kind of lost.
Yeah. Like we literally went on a jet ski tour, and the next day we were going on I don't even know, a swimming, snorkeling, swimming with sharks
Different tour.
And we get in the van, and Brylin and Kason are sitting back there, and Kason goes, "Oh my gosh!" And, as a mom, you know the bad ones. You're like, "What?" And he's like, "My phone is sitting here in this pocket of the car."
He didn't even know it was lost.
He didn't know it was lost. We're so lucky
What are
it was
the
still
odds?
there. And the car that we got into. So
We
had to go
never
back.
did a back-to-back trip like that. You didn't know it was going to be the same van.
No.
Like,
There were chances. So he still has his phone today.
that was only the more minor time he lost it.
Yes.
We won't get into that.
So last about the trip, how have you done schooling for the kids?
They're doing online. So Brogan tested out. He graduated early, and he's working with us. And that's going well, but also it's like pulling teeth sometimes. But, that's why it's good he's going on his own.
It's good. He's learning some good skills. That's good.
Yeah.
But
Britlin and Kason do school each day. And so there's been the time difference, and they have calls. And so, sometimes it's tricky. Britlin, no problem. She's organized. She writes things down. She just handles it. Kason does not like to do schoolwork. He does not like school, but he likes to learn. And so we may have gotten an email with some pretty bad grades at some point.
he's like his dad. He's always like, this could be done better, a different way. Or
He does not like to follow the typical system. So his grades end up being much better. But, yeah, they're doing online school.
All right. Well, that's cool. Well, we'll maybe have to do another version when you get back from the rest of the trip.
Mm-hmm.
We did learn that Kason can knock out about 100 assignments in a day or two, though, if he needs to.
If you're going on a really cool adventure in New Zealand, he'll get some stuff
Yeah,
done.
he'll get it done.
That's a way to motivate.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me about, I'm curious now, let's chat about each of you and where you kind of grew up and things of that nature. So let's start with you, Tara. Where'd you grow up? Tell me a little bit about your family,
Okay.
Young years, stuff like that.
Yeah. I grew up in Lehigh, Utah. Moved there when I was 5. Loved it. It was small and cozy then, and now it's bigger. But my parents' house is still super cozy, and everybody loves to go there. My mom and dad they're just cozy and good people. My dad teaches high school. My mom works at a school library, and she's like famous in Lehigh because she's the super fun librarian who gets dressed up, and the kids just love her. So she's always been really fun. She always made a cozy house. I have 4 siblings, and we're not perfect. We've all had our stuff. But we like each other. And there was always, I loved being home, loved being with my siblings. I was the second mom because I was the oldest daughter. And my older brother was difficult, so I'd babysit him. But he's awesome.
We love him.
We love him.
We love you, Ty.
Yeah.
He works with us right now. So.
Yeah. So I loved growing up in Lehigh. There were kids everywhere, and we had family. Both my families were 15 minutes away, so we'd get get-togethers, and I don't know, I enjoyed
That's cool.
Utah.
How about you, Justin? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Burley, but grew up mainly in Tustin. We moved to Tustin before I started kindergarten.
Tustin, California?
Yeah, I didn't grow up in Tustin. We moved to Tustin before 2nd grade, and then we moved to Riverside when I was in 2nd grade. Moved to Tustin before kindergarten.
So you guys 80s kids or 90s kids?
80s, both of us
kids.
1980.
Highlight
1980.
favorite cartoon from the 80s was,
Oh shoot!
or favorite movie, or favorite.
I watched the Snorks, the Stork. The
Oh,
Snorks.
I
You
remember that.
Come along with the
Snorks.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
the Snorks.
Then the Smurfs and all the Saturday morning Cartoon Network.
TGIF was.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that was
TGIF.
great.
Little Caesar's Pizza
Full
and
House.
TGIF.
Yeah.
Those were the good times.
Yep.
There's nothing like that anymore.
Yeah.
I would sometimes watch Nick at Night, and my parents would go on dates. They go on a Friday night date.
So where were you in high school, Justin? Riverside?
Herpa Valley. Yeah, well, Riverside, but Mariloma area.
Okay.
So
What did you do in high school?
I played football. I wrestled. Went to the gym a lot.
And then you went to BYU, right?
Yep, got a
Did
football
you go straight
scholarship.
to BYU or somewhere else?
I went on a mission first. I went
Okay.
to Peru on a mission.
I'll hit that in a second. So football scholarship to BYU. Tell us about like what position you played, who you played for. What was it like playing football there?
It was, so when I imagined playing football at BYU and going to BYU, I was kind of talking to Tara about this today. Like, I wasn't from Utah. I didn't have a lot of experience in Utah. The land of milk and honey, right? Like, I am a return missionary football player. Like, the girls are beautiful. They're just going to be lined up. Like, it's going to be great. You know, it's going to be amazing.
That was his experience in Harupa.
But it's like, show up. I didn't play a ton. We had losing teams the Croton years.
Oh, these are the Croton years?
The Croton years,
Croton years,
yeah. Like, I'd get injured anyway, and like everyone was just like, "What's wrong with you guys?" And like, "Oh, there's like a scandal on the team. Like, were you involved in that?" I'm like, these like old like lady. Even after we got married, were you a part of that? I'm like, no. Like, I just remember going to class and people being like, "You guys are losing again." Like, how? Like, do you play a lot? I'm like, not really. Anyway, so I claim responsibility for them losing so much though, because anyway. It was against Stanford. I was playing kickoff, and I ran down. Like, I'd worked really hard to get like on the traveling team and the kickoff team, all, like the special teams, and playing backup linebacker. And there was a time where, so we were winning Stanford, and then they ran a play back for a touchdown. I still don't think it's my fault. I never really went and looked at the film, but they have to blame someone, right? So I remember the Coach Tidwell just like, Williams, like, so they pulled me, and then like, anyway, it was pretty funny. And then, so we ended up losing that game, and then we started to lose a lot of games after that.
Was that Notre Dame?
No, then we lost Notre Dame. No, but I still traveled to Notre Dame, because that's when you and I started.
Yeah, because you were freezing cold on
Dating.
the sideline, I remember.
Yeah, I did pee on the Notre Dame sideline.
Sweet, that's a good memory.
Yeah. It's just the locker was like, I had to pee really bad. It was, it's really cold sometimes. It was so cold. I just had to pee really bad, and someone's like, "Here, you got this big jacket, go over here."
Nobody will know.
I couldn't go back to the locker.
My aunts and uncles thought I was the coolest girl because I was dating a football player. We'd see him on TV, and people were like, "Oh!"
It was-
And I was like, "That's kind of fun."
It was awesome. I mean, I know I kind of talked about like it's kind of like traveling, right? Like, it's like, this is gonna be the most amazing trip ever, and then you go and you're like, oh. People are like, "Oh, you got a football scholarship." So I was making like $3 an hour. And then Bronco Mendenhall came in as our defensive coordinator. That was an awesome experience. I really look up to him a lot. But man, that guy you're working your butt off. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's fun.
What did you learn from football?
Oh, I mean, I don't think I realized how much I learned until looking back.
Right.
But I just think the discipline, the showing up, the giving it your all.
The mental strength, like,
Mm-hmm.
as a wife from someone who has worked so hard in something that's so challenging like football, I'm grateful he played football because his work ethic is insane. Sometimes I'm like, dude, hold up. You're working hard, but he can put in some time and like do hard things, and so I like that.
It's true. It's interesting when you look back on experiences we have, and even sports, you don't realize in the moment, and then down the road, all those altruistic things about why, as a mom or dad, I want my kids to do sports. You can see that. Mm-hmm. How about you, Tara? In high school, what were you into?
Well, speaking of sports, like, sports saved me because I did well through elementary school, felt really comfortable and confident, and then I went to junior high. My best friend, I introduced her to this other friend, and they became friends, and then she literally left my locker, and I had no friends because everyone was just moving. You know how there's a lot of movement? And so
Great years in junior high.
Yeah, junior high was amazing, but there was a chunk, a period of time where I was just like, I felt so alone. Like, I'm literally going, like in the movies, you go into the lunchroom and you have no one to sit by. So I would eat as fast as I could, and then I'd go hide in these like archways because I was so embarrassed. I don't know why back then I didn't think like, why don't you go talk to someone, So it took me a minute to kind of find my place in junior high, but I was pretty good at sports, and it came pretty naturally, and I was blessed because we didn't play them growing up. We didn't have the money to pay for them, and so I just started playing at church when we used to have basketball and stuff, and I was like, wow, I'm not too shabby. So I started doing that in junior high and high school, and that saved me because I made so many friends. I had a blast. I became more comfortable, had a good time, I was getting exercise, and then I was able to do student council in high school and stuff, so it ended up being a good thing, but I've always been a little more introverted and kind of a watcher of people, and, it's taken me some time to get comfortable in my own skin. And so junior high there were a lot of ups and downs, lots of really cool times and other times that were like, whoa, in high school, but I survived.
What sports did you play?
Basketball, and then the softball coach came out to me and he was like, hey, I see you're playing basketball, you're doing pretty well, like, do you want to play softball? And I was like, sure, I'll come play softball. And so they threw me in a game. They just started practicing and put me in a game, and he was like, okay, when they hit the ball, I need you to just do this, or they do this thing. And so I didn't really know how it worked very well because I hadn't played it a ton. And so I just started running. I was on first base. He's giving me the first base coaching, and I started taking off. He's like, Dara, what are you doing? Like, come back here. And I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so it took me, some minutes to figure out how to play softball. But
didn't
really
you become like MVP or something like that? Or in basketball and softball?
Yep.
That's a good bragging husband. Way to go.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
That's what happens when you go to a small school. You can, really.
All right, now let's get the truth. How did you meet Tara, you and Justin?
Well, so I went to Snow College for a couple years, loved that, and then transferred to BYU. I didn't want to go to BYU because I grew up in Utah, like 20 minutes from BYU, and I was like, I don't want to go there. I've been there. Everybody just seems boring. Like, I remember walking on the campus, everybody's just studying, and I was like, I'm not interested in that. And then I felt like a lot of the guys there were like short, which is judgmental on my part, but those were the things you think about at that time. I was like, I feel like I can beat up half these guys. Like, I don't want to do this. I've always liked a muscular man. So anyways, but my friend was going there, and I was actually dating a missionary, and he was coming home going there. My friends all coming back from their missions were going there, and so I was like, okay, I'll go to BYU. And I got in, and we both put ourselves through college, and so we had to live in apartments that were not the most beautiful things. So
I just counted on my friend. Yeah, we didn't have a lot growing up.
Yeah.
But I just counted on my friend who was a football guy, and I was going to live with him. I didn't know there was I thought it was all the same. I didn't know there was better places than others. Didn't even occur
I'll
to
put
me.
my college dump up against any of your college dumps. I was at Alta, right across from the stadium. Dude, those things are built like in the 40s, maybe the 30s. They were terrible.
They were rough.
Terrible.
We were down by King Henry.
Yeah.
But not in King Henry.
Not in King
King
Henry.
Henry was, yeah.
King Henry was pretty cool.
Brownstone.
We called it the Brown State.
Wait, we got distracted here. How'd you guys meet?
Everyone calls it the Brown Stain. Yeah.
So we were living in the
Brown
Brown
Stain.
Stain. There's a girl side, there's a guy side. And
Both in the same place?
both. He's on the guy side, I'm on the girl
Yep.
side. Same ward. And we would kind of see each other like at the Linger Longers and
at church.
and at church and stuff. And so we'd always kind of catch
just
each other's
around,
eye.
yeah.
What's cool too is, so I'd go running at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there's like nobody out there. It's Utah, it's freezing cold. And the only person I would see would be Justin. And we'd both be walking down our stairs.
Mine was by force. Hers was choice. I was going to football.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to do.
I've always been an early riser.
Yeah, so I was going running, and we'd see each other, and we didn't even say hi, I don't think. It was just, I was always just kind of impressed, like, oh, he's that guy going on this thing. But I was like, he plays football, and not interested. I know these guys. Like,
I always was interested, but I think I kind of had a girlfriend, and then back home, like long distance, and then every other guy in the ward liked her, so I wouldn't want to be like jump on the bandwagon.
I don't know about that. I think it's the only one guy that had a motorcycle that was really quirky.
Oh, yeah, Brock. I'm sorry, Brock. I didn't mean to mention your name for everyone to hear.
Yeah, so we kind of got to know each other, and then he asked me on a date, and I honestly thought he was just asking if we wanted to hang out. Because
She was engaged. She forgot to say she was engaged. Oh, you were going to say
I wasn't
that.
engaged. Yeah.
Oh, but I knew you had a boyfriend when I asked
Yeah,
her.
I had a boyfriend. And
I asked her if she wanted to hang out, and she says she didn't. That doesn't mean you were asking me out.
Sometimes guys are so vague and confusing.
You gotta be specific, Justin.
So you want to go on a date.
I know, but I knew you kind of had a boyfriend, so I was like, hey, do you want to hang out sometime? But
Take the low-key approach, become a friend, swoop in, kick him out the door. That's what you're thinking.
But for her to say she would still want to hang out when she had a boyfriend, anyway.
So I said, no, I can't. And then shortly after, I actually got engaged to the guy.
Like the next week.
so I was like, I didn't know it was going to happen.
I'm very interested now. Now I need the rest of the story. So you're engaged. He's still in the hunt. How?
So I was super pumped. I'm going home with my friend, and I'm like, I called Tara, like she's like, I think she wants to hang out, but she had like something going on that week, and he's like, oh, because he still lives in Brownstone. I'd moved by now. He's like, oh, she got engaged, and I like was like, are you kidding? Like I was gonna marry this girl, even though we hadn't gone on a date, and he's telling me she's engaged. I didn't believe it, but like my heart was crushed. We hadn't gone out. I mean, long story short, obviously they broke it off. So, did I ask you out again right away? I want to give her time.
Yeah.
I want to give her time to like heal. And then so
wait, pause for just a second. This is actually kind of interesting. Why did you break it off? Why did you break it off? Because I think that might be instructive if, there's some young girls listening. It might be instructive to hear your experience.
I am so glad I broke it off because he was a great guy and he still is a great guy. I'm sure he's doing well and we had some things in common, but there were just these moments where I was like, I don't know if I could do this forever. Like one time we were at his house, we were going on a hike and I was just trying to like talk to him. It was so hard. I was like, oh my gosh, my life flashed before my eyes. I'm like, we're going to be bored out of our minds with each other. And there were certain things I'd say that.
But then there are times when I talk too much, and then she wishes she didn't break it off.
There were certain things he'd say where I could tell we weren't like you need to marry someone who's going to challenge you, right? And who also can keep up with you, but also can let you breathe. And so I felt like I would have just been pulling this relationship along. And I was like, I just don't want to do that. So I was working at this construction company and as a receptionist, and I'm sitting there just going back and forth, should I marry this guy? And I finally was like, I just actually asked the question. I always had these conversations in my head with Heavenly Father, what do you think about this guy? Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? And so I said, what if I don't marry him? And it was like those moments where the whole room just goes, and I knew from then I shouldn't marry him. I just knew. And so I had to do the hard thing. I had to go back and let him know, I don't think we should get married. He hated me for a while. I think he shaved his head and went and moved somewhere else. But he was mad. But he's doing great and he's doing well and it was for the best. But I'm so glad because I think about that from time to time. I'm like, I don't think this guy I was engaged to would have been able to handle this thing that I like. Justin's a tough guy. I'm a fiery gal. And I put him through some good things. So I'm like, I don't know if that guy could have handled it. I don't know if this guy would have pulled out what Justin pulls out of me. I don't know if he would have been there the way that Justin's there for me. I don't know if he would have talked to me the way Justin talks to me. I don't know if, Justin from day one has just loved me. We've struggled. We've struggled with communication and all these different things, but he just, he pushes me, he believes in me, he talks to me, and he pulls out the best in me. He pulls out the worst in me too, which is good because it needs to be exposed and I need to overcome it.
Trying to make me ball. I'm not going to fill out this room either. I'm
So I was so grateful I made that choice because, obviously I absolutely adore my husband, but I feel like he's been so good for me as a human being, let alone just being in love with him. So it's been good.
Man, we can just end it right there.
Boom, done. But you gave her some time, and then how'd you guys get rolling again?
So I asked her out, and to me this was the best day ever. Not that what we did was amazing, but I just felt I never connected with someone so much on on one date, just hanging out with them. We were talking all kinds of stuff, but I was like, I'm gonna marry this girl, right? So I'm cloud nine, literally 3 days later. So it's kind of during 2 days or for whatever reason.
Yeah,
but
Hell Week.
Yeah. We don't say that word here. Tara's the class,
It's what they call it.
the hall class. So yeah, we're going through Hell Week and so we're at the cafeteria, because they feed us during that time and we all eat together and I'm sitting with this guy and we call him, I won't say his name, but Perfect and then his name, right? Because he's just the perfect, okay. Let's say
I said guy.
Name. Oh, perfect guy.
Yeah,
right?
I say that.
It's the guy that any of the players would let their little sister date or whatever, and just a great guy, right? And we're just talking about girls and just kind of talking about this girl. All of a sudden, I realize we're describing the same girl. We're describing the same girl. And what's her name? And he said her name, and I swear I almost choked on my meatloaf. I was
But in defense of myself.
Dude, it was it was just the Twilight Zone music went off. I was no, this is not real.
Well, here's the thing, like, you know how it's like feast or famine when you're dating and single? Sometimes you're like, does anybody care? Other times you're like, oh, I got a couple good options here. So this guy asked me on a date, and Justin asked me on a date like a day or two apart. And they both seem like great guys. I don't know them. They're strangers. So I go on a date with each of them, and then I gone on like 2 dates with each of them. And there's no point. And at that point, I have no idea who to choose. They both seem like such great guys. And
But you went on a date with him first.
I started dating him first. So I'd gone on like maybe 3 dates at that point. Maybe, I guess just 1 or 2 with you.
I feel like you went on a date with him, and then we went on our date, and then you guys. But the bottom line is, I was like, have you kissed her? And he's like, yeah, like yesterday, like last night, he literally kissed her, and I was like, I'm done with this girl. I'm never talking to her again. Like,
I have a friend.
I had my heart broken 2 times after one date. I was like, this is ridiculous.
And I have a friend who's dating a football player, and she's texting me during this going, they both know. Because I'm like, I don't know what to choose. And I'm like, well, choice is made. Like, Justin hates me forever now. So it's pretty funny.
So they dated for a while, and then...
Yeah, we dated. We broke up. He was a nice guy.
They broke up. And then, but I still want to call him. Like, I'm not. My ego is way too strong.
Not going to give it a third try.
So then so then one day she calls me. I think it's this other girl that, like, we're friends. Like, I'm not totally interested in, but it's just kind of like, whatever. And so she calls me. The phone number looks similar. It's not like back in the day, you know. It's like my first cell phone. It's just a number pops up. We didn't have any names in there. And she's like, is this Justin? And I'm like, but I say, yeah, this is my phone.
Yeah. Like, I don't think I've ever...
Duh, like, why would you call me and ask me if it's me?
I don't think I've ever called a guy, because I was always just shy. Like, my flirtation skills are lacking. So I talked to my parents, because he kept coming to my mind, you know? Because I never really got to know him, but I was always intrigued by him. And so I told my parents, I'm like, should I ask Justin on a date? And they're like, yeah, do it. And so I finally got the guts to do it. And I call him, and I'm like, hey, is this Justin? Yeah, duh, it's my phone.
I was like, duh. I'm like, it's my phone.
And I was like, oh.
And when I realized it was her, I got, like, if you would have seen my
Sweaty.
was so hot, yeah. I was like, oh my gosh.
And I could feel him scrambling, so I was like, okay, I think he wants to talk to me. But, so I asked him on a date, and I kind of made up like a date scenario. I was like, my friends are going to get together, you want to go out? And they all ended up bailing. And we went.
Conveniently.
Yeah, right.
Failing, I thought it was fake. It wasn't even real.
No, I was. I
you
told
were
them
trying
we
to-
were going to do it, but I was the
Yeah.
one leading it. But I made it kind of sound
So
like
much better
I
without
needed a
the
date,
friends.
just kind of chill, you know.
Yeah,
those.
not like a
But-
big thing. Just like my hanging
Just
out,
like your-
right? See? Not that much different.
So we went on a date, and then from there on,
Yeah, that was a good date.
it was history. Yep.
How long before you guys were married?
We dated for 6 months, engaged for 3, I think.
I feel like...
Maybe
feel like
dated
we're-
7 months.
Not really?
Yeah,
I
because
feel like we wanted to get married. So I wanted to get married before we even started dating. So, like right
So
away,
it's all a
I
big
felt
blur
like
to
we
you.
wanted to get
It's all at the
married.
same time.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, yeah.
That's cool.
It's worked out.
So one of the funny things that I know is you guys have had several businesses, and I know it starts with you not even finishing college and
Yep.
just starting to work. So tell us kind of about the, just high levels, the things you've done, just really quick. But what is, in particular, the dynamic of working together has been for the two of you guys?
Yeah, so basically I had some injuries, then knew I couldn't play football anymore. And my personality, I wanted to start a business. And so I was like, major ADD. I'm like, I was going to class. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I was ditching classes to go get my real estate license. So it wasn't like I didn't want to like grow and learn and develop. I just wanted to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I was selling satellite dish. I had sold satellite dish door to door. So we transitioned into that. We started our own satellite dish retailership.
Yeah, I mean, I was pregnant with Brogan, our first child, and I was teaching 3rd grade. So we're just so young and naive, and we ran these numbers, and we're like, we're going to make $1 million in our first summer. It's going to be so easy peasy. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
So I quit my job. We have a child, and we start a business. We get into a ton of debt. We have to leave Utah. We have to move to Bakersfield, dig ourselves out of
It's
that
like
hole.
friends and family that we owe money to.
Yeah.
And we think we're going to go kill it. So it's like, oh yeah, we'll borrow your money. And
So we're like $110,000 in
120,
debt,
yeah.
120. We don't know what we're doing. Everything's crashing and burning. And
failed partnership. Like,
Justin went and knocked door to door in Bakersfield in the heat. I was home taking care of baby, but doing all
We-
the admin and stuff.
we were homeless. This time we lived with someone, but we couldn't afford anywhere to live. So we called it the bachelor pad, is where our other like installers, our brothers were installers for us and sales
Sales
guys,
guys.
and your brother's fiance or girlfriend lived, and it was crazy.
We like lived in a room, and Brogan lived in the closet.
We slept in the closet.
They
Yeah.
slept in the closet. So we just worked and got out of that, and then started to make a little bit of money. And then we always wanted to do real estate, so we got into real estate, but right when the market was crashing. So we learned about wholesaling and short sales and did that for a while. And that was up and down and up and down. Right when we were having our third child, Kason, it was like a week before I was due, and we're literally scrambling.
There was a lot of transitioning going on.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was like a lower period.
Yep. And we're scrambling on the computer because we can't pay our people.
Or
And we can't pay our bills. So I'm like, we're going to open a credit card. I'm about to have a baby. I'm so stressed out. And we just figured some things out because we were trying to get rentals. We decided to sell those, and we sold one and made enough money to last the year.
No, we sold 4.
Or did we sell
We
4?
had 8. We sold 4.
Oh, okay, we sold 4.
And we made enough money that we knew for the next year our expenses would be covered.
Mm-hmm.
And like that changed everything. Like a light bulb went off. We're like, well, what if we
kept doing that?
keep doing this?
Mm-hmm.
So,
So
the following year we flipped like 60 houses, and there's more nuance. You know, we talk about like exponential growth. Like we had learned a lot in like a lot of different areas, and everything kind of came together. We had contacts with contractors and
Systems and
got some money people, but so.
then we got to the point where we were flipping like 100 houses a year, all systematized. We wouldn't go see them. And then we moved to San Clemente, which was a dream to live by the beach because we hadn't experienced that. And it was awesome. Justin kind of semi-retired, and I actually got
Because
really
our business
sick
was
at
pretty
that point.
automated at that point.
Yeah. I actually got really sick at that point, right? When we moved, I got mono and then just fell apart. Everything kind of fell apart for me. So I went through a
Depression.
depression, panic attacks.
We're like at our dream house. We finally after all the ups and downs, like
Yep.
feel like we've arrived, you know?
Yep.
And then
Then everything kind of fell apart. And that was a beautiful time in our marriage because I was always someone who was pretty private, and I wanted to do my best, and I didn't think that someone could love you if they saw your worst. And so I just always dealt with things my own self internally. And so, but I had some things that were really hard that I experienced that I wasn't aware of, and I fell apart. And Justin loved me even more when I was just trying to keep it together.
because you actually needed me.
I actually
For the first time in our marriage.
She needs me.
So he was so good to me, and I had to kind of reinvent myself in a lot of ways. And took me a few years, went through some really hard stuff. And anyways, but he started to get kind of bored in that business and decided he wanted to learn about online marketing. And while I was healing and working through things, and he joined this podcast group.
Well, I hired an online marketing coach. I started listening to podcasts,
Yeah.
and then I hired someone who I was listening to. It's funny, at the time, I'd never listened to a podcast. My brother was telling me, I'm like, oh, there's a thing called podcasts. Anyway, and this guy teaches people how to start a podcast. So I got on the phone with him, and he's like, well, podcast. I'm like, I'm not doing a podcast. And then he's like, wait, I'm a podcast coach. I'm like, okay. So we decided to teach about the only thing we knew, which was flipping houses. The only thing I knew, flipping houses. And so started an education business, teaching people how to flip houses.
Well, everybody was asking me, they're like, how are you bored, but you're flipping all these houses? It was pretty unheard of in the realm of friends that we had. And so he started to teach and educate that and started some different programs, and people would do really well. And
Tara has always been a huge part of both of these. There's no way any of this could have been done without her. And
raising kids and raising
I did that for 8 years, sold that business a few years ago.
Do you guys laugh as much while working together? Because it seems like anytime I see you guys together, you look at each other with love and you're always laughing. Is that the same when you're working together?
We're either laughing or yelling.
That's great. That's
We're
a
like
good-
Italian people. We're fiery, passionate people.
We recorded a podcast this past week where we were sharing when we were in Wahine, which is a French Polynesian island. We've always dreamed about going to French Polynesia, so we're on this island and it's pouring rain, it's super hot, and we're just like yelling at each other.
And there are wild dogs chasing us, so every now and then we'd be like, okay,
We have
grab a rock.
we'd have a rock.
Grab a rock, there's a dog right there. But anyways,
Or we get tired because there's hills, and then we're like, you don't listen to me. You know?
that was a good conversation because we developed a framework for communicating that has been really
and now we're going to
awesome.
be marriage counselors.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
really?
Every other
Next
month,
business?
every other month, we think we should be marriage counselors, and then we're like,
Maybe we
how is this working?
Maybe we
What's
need a
going-
therapist.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell folks, I've listened to them, why don't you tell folks what podcasts you have out there right now?
Right now, we just have the Millionaire University podcast.
Yeah, a
because
year ago.
we graduated. We sold the business 4 years ago?
Almost 5 years ago.
Yeah, and then we moved down to San Diego, and we just kind of took some time off.
Took some time off. Oh, we sold the business. We took some time off.
Mm-hmm.
Then moved to San Diego. Started Five Oak, which Greg knows all too much
Greg
about
knows all
that.
about.
So, but then kind of got a little didn't want to be too involved with that. And then a year ago we started Millionaire University, and that was kind of out of a need because I dropped out of college, but I still believe in education, and I believe people need guidance and frameworks, especially as we have kids. It's hard to get them to do their chores. You're like, okay, they need some guidance, but if someone wants to start a business, sometimes college there's a lot of hoops to jump through and doesn't, depending on the situation, yeah.
So what? By the way, just so people know, what's the premise of Millionaire University?
I basically shared a little bit of it, but it's essentially the concept is to help people who need the education, want to start a business. And it's just basically people want to start a business, really, what it comes down to. But we're also thinking of our kids, because we kind of lost. If you're in anything like a sport or business and you stop for a year or two, you kind of feel like you lose your mojo,
yeah.
So we're okay, our kids are the number one thing for us right now other than our marriage. We want to teach them, we want to help them, we want to guide them. They had seen that I dropped out of college, I got her to stop teaching, but it's they didn't really what direction do they go, right? And the online world is awesome, but it's a lot of things, and everyone's you got to do this, you got to do this. So it's basically the lessons of what we would teach our kids or anyone who wants to start a business. And we're kind of in a spot now where we have a lot of passive and different kinds of investments. We do some money lending and different things. And so we haven't gone into this business guns a-blazing and okay, we got to start all these programs. We're trying to do it in a way that we still can live a certain lifestyle, be connected, travel, spend time with our kids, focus on them. Mm-hmm. But I get bored. I don't know if you get as bored as I do, but
I don't get as bored. I usually have my own kids and my own self to deal with.
But my ideal is I still want to be kind of working and talking to people about business and stuff like that, at least 15, 20 hours, depending on the week. Sometimes 30, sometimes 10. But So, yeah, we just started this platform called Millionaire University that just kind of teaches everything in our brain, and we interview other people, and our goal is to build that out. We go back and forth on how much time, effort, energy. It's not 19 years ago when we got to feed this 6-month-old. Mm-hmm. The 6-month-old is now 18, he's an adult, and we're not just trying to figure out how to pay our bills, fortunately. We have then you realize you have other problems to deal with.
Totally do.
You think you've arrived, and then you're crap. Darn.
Darn. It's been fascinating. And I want to wrap up because I hear all the kids clamoring outside, so I'd love to hear just the last little thing. What does the gospel of Jesus Christ mean to you? You've had these interesting experiences. You've been football, sports, life's thrown ups and downs at you. You've had some great business experience. You've been traveling the world. Out of all of that, what matters most is the gospel. So, Tara, to you, what's the gospel of Jesus Christ mean?
You think about it, growing up, I had all these dreams, right? And I thought I knew what it meant to be a member of the church, and I thought I knew what it meant to be a mom. And I remember driving on the freeway thinking, I'm going to be the best wife, and life humbles you real quickly. And I feel I'm in this phase where I'm waking up and going, I've achieved outer goals, but they don't satisfy the inner desire for connection with the Savior and Heavenly Father. I don't crave anything more besides connection with my family than to know my Heavenly Father and Savior, but really know them. I don't want to just use words and talk about them, because it just doesn't satisfy. I miss them. I have a longing in my heart that says, I know life is different when I'm with them and connected with them. But I also know they're trying to change me. And I feel them going, we're going to expose some of your weaknesses right now. And I feel I'm in this phase where I'm breaking a lot of things down. Where it's I knock on the door waiting for Heavenly Father to talk to me, and he shows me and says, what about this? Let's think about this. And I feel I'm doing so much breaking apart that I didn't expect as a young kid in my relationship with Heavenly Father and the Savior. And I didn't know I had so much in my heart that was confused or in pain or didn't know how to express. And I find them changing my heart, even though the outer looks a certain way. And we're traveling, we're doing these different things. It's those have all been to expose what's in my heart. And that's the journey I feel I'm on with them right now. And it's kind of a painful journey because they're asking me to go to places that are scary for me or hard or expose my biggest weaknesses. And it's so crazy though, because you feel that, you think it, you're willing to see it, you're willing to feel what you couldn't process as a young kid or deal with, and then they come through stronger, and my heart's a little cleaner, I feel a little lighter, the world looks a little better. And I even told Justin, we came back and we went to this gym that we love to go to, and I walked in and I'm like, I feel lighter here now than I did just 4 months ago, because of just even the work I've done then. And the way they're just like taking my heart and going, I know you wanted this so bad, or I know you tried so hard, but like you need to see this about yourself. And if you're willing to see it, it will take a load. And so I feel like I'm just like in this state of just constantly removing bondage so I can actually be with them in my heart and mind and soul. And that's a work. But I don't know, I've had some struggles with Heavenly Father because I've been through some hard things, and sometimes I'm like, how can I trust you? I've really gotten hurt. How can I do this and you say this, and I haven't experienced that. And he has taken me, like I thought he would fix all the things and take care of all the things, and I would just be like protected over here. And he is asking me to stand in those places with him, see him differently. He's different than I thought. And the Savior's different than I thought. And what I love about the Savior is like he opened all the doors. He broke everything down, but I still have to walk through those doors. Nobody can fill my insecurities. Nobody can fill my pain. Nobody can teach me how to be a better wife. And it's like, I've got to do those things. And I feel like they constantly are calling me, like, you can totally do this. It's going to hurt. It's really going to hurt, but do it. And so that's where I am with them. I'm like, I've had the outer things change my heart because my heart hurts. And they're doing that, and it's hard. But I also feel it changing me, and I'm grateful. So.
Top that, Justin.
I'm just going to drop the mic. I mean, but it's kind of similar to what Tara has kind of alluded to. I mean, as a kid, it's like you grow up and it's like, okay, mission, temple, and like you just have the idea that the perfect marriage, right? And as we've talked about, like this past 20 years and then 43 years, as Tara reminded me that we've been through, like there's been times that have been hard. There's been, like Tara kind of alluded to it, but just a few years ago, she started remembering some things from her childhood that were really, really hard for both of us,
Still are.
And we've had marriage struggles, we've had all kinds of things, and there are times in life where it's like you envision the way you think things are gonna be, like in the gospel and with life. And I wouldn't say that we've been through, I wouldn't describe it as like a faith crisis, but like a faith, like, I'll say development, but you can, life is amazing, and life can be really hard and confusing. Mm-hmm. But I would say that I don't know where without the gospel where I would be. And then even as like our kids are getting older, and we go through things with them, and seeing what the gospel has done for them. I don't know. I look back like it's been a beautiful thing. I just feel like in His own way, God has helped us grow and learn and go from where I used to like think I saw things a different way, but I was a lot more judgmental. And it's like I went through this process of like questioning different things, not necessarily the gospel as a whole, but like, wait, why, how, what? I call it a midlife crisis. I don't know what you call it, right? But getting to a certain point in your life, thinking you've achieved all the things you wanted and still maybe not feeling everything you thought you'd feel, but then kind of working through that and then having different eyes and different perspectives. And I feel like we're just kind of at this place in our life where it's like, wait a minute, it's actually way more beautiful than we ever imagined. Mm-hmm. And I feel like we're both like a lot less like judgmental. We both have like siblings that have struggled in the church, and like just pure love and like loving them and accepting them and realizing that's what God has for us. And that's what we have for our kids as we've gone through challenges. We have 3 teenagers, and they all have they're amazing, but they've had their different challenges, and just loving the heck out of them and being so grateful for the gospel, because being like, oh wow, where would the answers come from without
totally.
that? So
foundation, like knowing that there's a Father that cares about us, and knowing like the atonement works. Just these last few days, some things resurfaced for me, and I just felt heavy. And I was like, okay, I know this process. I've done it for years now. And I was like, I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to face this, Heavenly Father. And it's like, you can do it. And so I'll sit in my room and I'll study and read things, and I'm like, I'm willing to feel this. And it takes me a few days sometimes to work through something. And then today it's like I'll feel that light come back in there, and it's like I'll feel lighter. And it's just amazing. Like, they care about us. But they also want us to be brave and tough and strong, but also soft and gentle and good. And it's a fine line to, like, walk that with them. And it's a work. But it's an amazing thing to be a complete mess and be loved by your person. Because that's when you really feel loved, is when you're like, here are my cards. And you're going to have to deal with some stuff with me. I'm doing my best. And they go, heck yeah, I'm in for that ride. And what have you got? And so Justin will talk to me for hours. I can tell him anything. And he loves me more. It's the craziest thing, because it's just not how I grew up.
I know we don't have, if we had another 20 minutes, I should go on about Tara and all the things that she is. And
We'll just talk about
We can all tell.
But it all, I mean, you talk about like the gospel and eternal marriage and just, I don't know, it's just, it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, so I never know where to end, even on our podcast.
Well, you guys are fun. No. It's fun. And honestly, I would sit and talk longer and longer, but it's fun to see what a fun couple that the two of you are. You love each other, you love God, you love your kids, life's ups and downs, and it's raw. And you've shared some of the rawness and some of the ups and downs in life. So thank you for being open and sharing a few things. And that's it for the day. That's all I need.
Thank you. It's
Appreciate
been
it.
awesome.
All right.
Yeah.